Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome to something a little bit different from my usual fare, specifically Guild Wars 2 Wilds of Janthier, which is an expansion pack that just launched today. I'm just out in the open world, and I'm not going to be touching story for the most part, because all sorts of spoilers. This is what the Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, End of Dragons, Sixes of the Obscure, this is what, the 5th expansion for the game? And there's all sorts of, like, plot and dialogue and all sorts of other things, and hey, there's an event going on. But if you haven't seen it before, it is, I guess I would describe it as a theme park. Oh, what are we doing?
Gather round, lucky cubs.
I think we're just fighting the kids. So I would call it kind of a theme park MMO. I mean, most MMOs are, but this one I think is even more theme parky than most, where you effectively are just wandering around these big open world environments, clearing objectives, gathering ingredients, completing events and whatnot.
Your grandma's mad in the head. My head's sound, and I use magic tons. I don't want to be.
This is kind of cute. I should probably turn off the dialogue volume just so I don't have to compete with NPCs on this one. Nice as it is, like, the build quality and writing is actually super good, but it's so much harder to record a video when I'm actually talking over something. So I don't know if this is going to be a train the kids or nope, fight them or something. Oh, we're fighting training illusions. Sure, why not? But so one of the big flavors of the game that I think a lot of other MMOs have been doing. I mean, I know Destiny has dynamic events of its own, but I'd say Guild Wars pioneered it where you're wandering around in the world and an event will pop up and it's like, hey, you know, fight this boss, do this thing, complete this mini game, and so on and so forth. And there's a whole bunch of different things that happen, so I guess in this one it just cycles events. But yeah, I've been playing Guild Wars since I was in high school, and if you're on my Discord, I've had a Guild Wars channel for the last X number of years. I kind of put one together leading up to, I think it was End of Dragons, though I never actually featured it beyond, like, a little bit, just because I got very busy and, you know, just time and energy and some other things. And then I got, like, re-hooked on it really bad last year when I was super sick, like, literally a year ago, kind of with Secrets of the Obscure, and it's like, yeah, I am actually going to put some time and effort into, you know, Guild Wars here and there again, so I usually load it up whenever a new season comes out. Because unlike, how to say, Destiny seasons where you have to buy the season pass and then grind through it to completion. Instead, this just kind of has this seasonal storefront that you can just buy various things, so skins, materials, crafting things, experience, in-game currencies and whatnot. It's kind of nice, because there's not a whole lot of, like, immediate speed pressure. Very little of the content goes away, and all of the, like, meaningful stuff gets banked. So you can actually go back and get all the old skins that you that you could have gotten and whatnot. And that instantly made this feel so much better to me. Previously, it had, like, a daily system that I did not enjoy that deeply. Wow. We are completing that quick. So that's one of the other objectives we kind of have are, they're called Hearts. They're not on every single map. Can I leave yet? Oh, I can't leave as long as I'm in this little arena. That's what's going on. But so Hearts are effectively, either single time or sometimes repeatable kind of objectives. So rather than your standard MMO quest where it's like, go get me 10 Gore-Tusk livers, it's instead just like, hey, just do X amount of things in this area. It's kind of a little quota. So this one, for example, wants me to do some kind of smithing. Let's see if we can actually talk to this guy. Okay, what do I have to do? Grab ore, throw it in the furnace. From there, use the bellows melts away the impurities, get a bar, toss it in the crate. Oh, okay, so the ingot crate is the final result. Hammer, spear, ore. Got it. And so, yeah, some of these are definitely a little bit more basics. Oh, wait, no. Use the bellows, smelt the ore. I see. Yeah, some of these are a little bit more minigame-ish than others. A lot of them are just like go around, fight, and do events, but this one is more just like interact with the thing. I don't know, not the biggest fan of these specific events per se. And wait, oh, I guess we were almost done with that event, so cool. Harvest and Renown Mastery. Oh. So you can complete tiers, gain favor, grow your friendship, get a title, and then eventually some kind of weapon box. Well, that's nice. So does that mean these are repeatable? So tiered Renown Hearts, that's a new feature. Completed a tiered Renown Heart. Continuing daily completion of tiered Renown Hearts increases the associated achievement track, results in additional rewards and potential changes in the areas you gain the locals' trust over time. Ooh, that's actually kind of a neat change. So it gives me a reason to keep doing this, but it's also kind of timed based on a daily basis. So if you notice, it's no longer present, at least on the list, which means, yeah, I'm not encouraged to continue to do it in a grindy fashion. There is kind of a downside on that, whereas like it's actually kind of nice being able to really focus on an area, and having things time gated can get a bit exhausting. It'd be one of those where maybe after the game has come out, oh wow, this area is stacked vertically. I like it. Purify Rot Elixir, special action to cleanse the Rot Titan's influence from creatures. Rot Titan, okay. Can I actually do that here? Okay, can you assist us? How can I help? See what I can do. Okay, cool. So Purify Rot Elixir. So do I just spritz it? I see. So I've just got to de-stank it after subduing it. Oh, no, I have to get rid of the, Oh, I see it. I popped the maggot off. That's how this goes. Alright, that's fair. And the shark? I guess end the shark, too. What was I going to talk about? I guess I was talking about, like, hearts and, like, events and whatnot. I don't know. It's one of those that I should probably put together, like, some kind of actual video at some point talking about why Guild Wars, like, even after a decade of other MMOs, is the one I go back to. I actually tried to resub to Final Fantasy XIV recently, and I don't know. It immediately bounced off. My character was level... I think the class I wanted to play was level 70, and I was just like, do I have to get this up to level 90? I'm like, yeah, there are paid boosts, which is probably inevitably what I'm going to do. Did that get both of them? No, it only got one of the two. You know, there's all sorts of options for getting around kind of a level grind wall. But something about that immediately just, like, didn't feel good to me. And I was just like, I don't know, I'd rather go back to this game where I've just been max level this entire time. And I think that's been consistently it, you know, going back to Destiny. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why going back to Destiny is kind of an uneven experience. But going back to Destiny kind of most recently, there was definitely that feeling of just like, and now I have to grind all the way back up to level cap for... You know, honestly, the thing is, it feels completely meaningless. I guess is the main point, going from like level 90 to 100. Because it's a good way of kind of like gating players into the new content and whatnot. But having played this game for so long, it's just like, actually no, it's just kind of nice to be max level all the time. You want to add like a new grind wall? Give me a new shiny to go work for. So I guess in this case, the big shiny that immediately is like sitting here in the in this expansion is the Falling Star Quest license. Acquiring this item unlocks a quest from the Wizard's Vault to acquire the Falling Star Spear and Meteor Wielder's Gloves. So those are the legendary weapons and possibly armor. I'm not sure what the gloves are going to be, but you know, that's the new, like, hey, instead of grinding for levels or meaningless stuff or like getting raid worthy again, here's just a really shiny weapon that you're really gonna have to work for this expansion. I don't know, it vibes better for me. I never feel like I'm wasting time with this game, even though it is a prolific waste of time. You're running around grabbing grapes and farming for resources over and over again, but it always is kind of in service of something that you keep forever, even if you might not use it that much. So like, I've been weirdly completionist about getting all of the classes, maxing out all of their, you know, specializations and builds and stuff, because, oh yeah, that's something else to talk about. Getting in, like, maxing out each character's specialization. You know what, I might as well talk about it now. So the way the game works is you have, how would I describe it? So most other games, when you level up, you're just level, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This does that up to level 80, but you also have class specs. So if you have ever played any game with any kind of talent tree, or if you, say, played World of Warcraft back when they had talent trees, I think now you just select between 3 perks every 15 levels or something like that, which isn't the worst. But I found some of the perks to be kind of niche and weird. So as you level up and as you explore the game, you get skill points that you put into these to unlock new perks and traits and abilities, which you then go into your build and kind of switch around. And so you can do all sorts of things. So I've got a necromancer based around shouting at things until they die. But you can also go for like kind of a pistolier status effect build. I think actually this is the torch one. I think both of these are Reaper. So I'd have to poke at this one. Where's the pistol? Harbinger, I think it is. Yeah. So this is the build that focuses on pistols. And you get offensive skills, but leaves you vulnerable to attack. Accumulate blight over time. So it heals you, but it reduces your max health? Ooh. I should give this a shot, and it seems to be kind of the alchemist class. But I just haven't had time. Also, I just love Reaper so much that it's really difficult for me to want to play as any of the other classes, to be entirely honest. It's probably silly, but I don't know, it's just how I feel about the game. You find one spec and you're like, yeah, this is kind of perfect for me. How can I mix and match? The other thing is, unlike some other games where you have just like one weapon, in this one you mix and match a lot of different weapons. So I've currently got greatsword and dual sword as my two main weapon types. Oh, I should make sure I'm the correct build. It'd be pretty embarrassing if I was actually going into combat with a half-baked build that I was pulling out as an example. But so you can mix and match talents, weapons, and utility skills to kind of create your own unique build. Admittedly, there are builds that are clearly better than others and more like assigned for a role. So I've specifically built this character around the idea of a lot of like lifesteal and damage. What am I doing? Harvesting and burying a raccoon. What? Okay. Kill the Titan spawn infesting the area and tend to the victims. Alright. I guess I'm just gonna bury critters. But yeah, one of the reasons why I guess I bounced off of Final Fantasy most recently, beyond just the getting up to level 100 was going to take a while. Well, getting up to 90 so I could even start the expansion with the class I wanted to was, going to take a while. The other one was I was setting up my like bar and trying to figure out what the base rotation was. I had like four bars stacked here, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, which of the buttons that I press in what order to, do the most amount of DPS, and it was like layers of them. This is the AoE column and row, and I think I had just like a little bit of a mental break looking at it where I was just like, you know what? This is too much for me. I'm sure once you get back into the swing of things, it's not so bad. And, at some point I'm absolutely going to play Dawntrail. But I crave interesting build choices, but actual simple inputs. I want half of my performance in these games to be as a result of my choices before I even enter combat. And then, honestly, giving me a little bit of skill, too. A dodge roll, specifically in this case, feels really good. I'm actually surprised no one else is around here. The other players are probably elsewhere on the map. One of my fondest memories, in gaming in general, was actually just the, like, beta weekends for this game. But then also just, like, the first couple weeks after launch. Because there was just an army of people running around. Like, every event would end in like 15 seconds because they hadn't got the balance right yet. It was all sorts of scuffed and kind of goofy and whatnot, but in a good way. This guy's spawning protection tendrils, which unfortunately I think is making him a bit tankier, so I'm not actually able to do as much damage as I'd like, which is kind of stinko because I'm fighting him alone. You're not supposed to fight. Okay, use the Warclaw's chain pull. Okay, Warclaw. come back? This is entirely new to me. Oh, that's chain pull. Okay, this is an interesting choice. I like it. I see. So do I have to periodically do a yank? Okay. I'm actually shocked that no other players have shown up here. But it's okay. I'm getting it. Man, it's kind of fun to learn these things on my own. Too much of this game kind of relies on monkey see, monkey do. I literally earned this thing right before I hit record, so I don't know what I'm doing with it. It's just like, oh, you have a whole mount now. What does it do? Question mark. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to kill this one. Hopefully somebody else shows up. Yeah, usually you get mobbed by so many people that these things inevitably go down. I'm just happy I can actually fight one without having to worry about getting completely bodied. Historically, champions are something that you have to fight with a group of people, and being able to solo one actually feels really good to me. Though this one might also be kind of weaker than normal, either to account for expansion content. There we go, there's another player. So I don't have to worry about it too much. But yeah, what was I talking about? Guess it was like player builds and some other things. All right. Yank? Oh. Because it reset my chain. There we go. That was much easier with another player. Music's pretty good too. I'll have to snag the soundtrack for this one. It was actually something I was talking about right beforehand. It was like, yeah, I'd actually like to get the soundtracks for this game. Unfortunately, the soundtrack for the expansion that I really like the music for is no longer available, which kind of sucks for me. But I haven't had a record player. Well, I only just got a record player like a couple months ago, so my vinyl collection prior to that was just like, I don't know, I just want to buy this thing that I'm never going to maybe listen to. And now I have one. It's like, hey, I should probably get more. Oh shoot, I missed out on a lot. FOMO sucks, but on the flip side, it's not wrong sometimes. Yeah, we got the fancy Final Fantasy record player. I should like do a video on that, or even just like talk about it on like a podcast. I should do a podcast. Is an easy answer. No, come back. Oh, and that doesn't work. Whatever. I like the fact that my Warclaw mount seems to be usable in combat. That's actually really nice. Too often you're stuck just running around on foot. In combat effectively. And having something where I can like pop on for a quick speed boost to run around or run away actually would be kind of lovely. So, gosh. Yeah, what else is there to even talk about for Guild Wars? I mean, so beyond the fact that, yeah, it's kind of more of this theme park thing, it's also probably the biggest scavenger hunt game I've ever played. And they really lean into it super hard. You want to get the fanciest weapons? That's a scavenger hunt. You want to get decent armor set? Sure, you could like grind for all the materials and craft for it, or it's a scavenger hunt. You want to do your weekly objectives? Kind of a scavenger hunt. You know what? It's more of a kill X, to be honest, but still. Let's see. Yeah, should I actually? I don't know. I guess I should get up there. You want to get the fanciest mount? This thing? That's one heck of a scavenger hunt. It actually made Shell burn out on the game a little bit because it was too much. Took a while. Do you want to max out all of your specializations? Not a scavenger hunt. That's just mostly grind. If you notice, I am still gaining experience. So rather than being explicitly at max level, the way the game works is you gain mastery points, which you can invest into these, which is kind of like a leveling system beyond. So right now I'm hoping to max this out by the end of the video for lowland spear training. Learn to wield the spear on land and gain additional experience while in Janthier. So specifically, spear is one of the major new features that they've added, apart from the Warclaw mount that I was running around with. So the spear normally was an aquatic weapon only, because there's underwater combat in this game. But they've just, with this expansion, said, hey, but what if it actually was just a normal weapon you could use? Because spears are a land weapon, right? Yeah. And so you can unlock spears as like a functional weapon to use, and I really like that. I'm just gonna fight these things. I have no specific goals here. I'm just looking around for things to do. But the thing I just interacted with over there, the mastery point, whenever this reaches maximum, you, I guess I can pull it up here. When this reaches maximum, this will unlock, and I can spend X amount of this currency. So in this case, 2 to unlock the talent tier. And then I'll have to grind for the next level and so on and so forth. I say grind, but like you just play the game passively and you max all of these things out. It's very nice. There was a period of time, I think it was when Shell and I were playing World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and we had played through like most of the story, and then after a certain point it said, and now you need to raise your reputation level to continue the story, and we both unilaterally looked at each other and just said no, and unsubbed right then and there. I'm assuming it's gotten better since then, but it was just agonizing in the moment, because the rest of the expansion had been kind of okay. Divisive for other people, but like I loved the aesthetic of it, and some of the storytelling was quite good. Even if, yes, it was Blizzard kind of just having a faff. I don't actually know if that's like proper phrasing, but you know, they were just doing Blizzard-y stuff. Overly bombastic storylines and a lot of retconning. But it was just one of those where it's like, yeah, if you want to complete this story, you have to go grind for a lot of things. Whereas now, I guess in this case, that's kind of the same things going on. I can't continue the story until I've maxed out my spear training, or unlocked the level in spear training. Thing is, that's only going to take me maybe about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of work. Maybe a little bit more. As soon as this bar fills out, then I'm good to go and don't have to worry about it. And then I can go on with the story, and then after a certain point it'll bring me to a new map and be like, okay, now go do the grind thing again for like another 30 minutes. That feels so much more like holistic. It's not artificially inflated, it's just like a, hey, don't forget, we actually have a game for you to play beyond just the story mode. I'd be surprised if anybody plays this game purely for the story mode and nothing more. There's just something kind of fun about the exploration, the gathering resources, completing events, and getting all the shinies too. Because, yeah, I've been pretty good about completing these. I still have to go back and do a bunch in Path of Fire. I'm done with Central Tyria, which is like the core game, and then Heart of Thorns is the first expansion. We're almost done with Ice Brood Saga, but I've still got some mastery points and other objectives to complete in that regard. It is interesting also as part of this. I'm just skipping ahead a little bit because my throat's a little eh. How much of this game... Huh, what am I doing here? There's a point of interest. Oh, do I have to go inside the building? Maybe I have to actually walk in here. No. Huh. Oh, it's above. There's kind of almost a collect-a-thon vibe to this. Normally, I'm not a big fan of open world games. I find them to be kind of boring. But I find this one to be a little bit more compelling than most. There we go. Vast Caldera's room. Why am I in their room? I have no idea. But so there's a bunch of these kind of like micro objectives all over the place to complete. Kind of like your standard open world game, but it's smaller. It does also help that I have a flying mount, so getting around is comically easy. Just fly to a thing and interact with it. Honeyflower. I mean, I guess the primary NPC in this game is bear, so I guess we are going, well, this expansion is bear, so honey kind of makes sense. But yeah, so one of the collectathon elements is like the map has points of interest, waypoints. They used to have skill points, but they did away with those because they don't need them anymore. And these vistas, which I actually really like. You go interact with them and it gives you just kind of a nice sweep of whatever the local environment is. That one was kind of basic, but some of them are really cool. They'll do like a whole sweep through the environment. And it's very pretty and kind of impressive. And it's often angles that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. And it feels quite good. They used to have like micro jumping puzzles to kind of go with all of that, but I think they've kind of phased it out a little bit as of late. Because now everybody has either a flying mount like I have, or, you know, like a giant rabbit, effectively, that can just hop up. Now, is this the edge of the map? Yeah, this is the edge of the map. I wasn't sure. There's a mithril there, but I can ignore it. I'm just trying to kind of see everything. Oh, actually, I should go back. There's a mastery point over here. Because I'm going to need those. Easy enough to grab. It's a very pretty expansion. It doesn't quite have the grandeur of the last one, but it's kind of, I mean, go figure, it's named the Wilds of Janthier. It's got that kind of like more folksy, outdoorsy vibe to it, and it feels really nice. I'm almost getting, what was it, no, not Frozen Throne. Wrath of the Lich King vibes from it. Kind of the autumnal forest far to the north. With a little bit more of, yeah, folksy flair, especially after a really bombastic prior expansion that really raised the stakes. That this very much hits kind of those similar notes in a very good way, actually. I should probably focus on events. I mean, the nice part is doing anything gets you experience, but it is such a small amount of your mining. You're way better off doing an event. Which I guess I should. Here. Let's grab the waypoint here so I can warp around. And then maybe find some more events to do. I don't know if I can go to the other region of this expansion either, so we might be kind of hard locked to this zone. At least until we're done. Oh, hey. I can do this. Yeah, humorously enough, it's much easier to fall on, or just like kind of entirely gravity powered without a mount, than to fall on your dragon. There might be some way to get it to fall faster, but I'm gonna have to do like a major scavenger hunt on another expansion that I've already completed, and some part of me is just kind of like, I don't know, I'll come back to that later. Unfortunately, being somebody who played a lot of World of Warcraft, or as somebody who played a lot of World of Warcraft, seeing that everything is Titan spawn is just making me think, you know, oh, are we talking about the like weird intergalactic super beings that are just going to ruin the world, or travel worlds and like eat them or corrupt their population to turn them into their kind of fanatical armies? Is that the kind of Titans we're dealing with? Honestly, very well could be. I'm assuming it's going to be much more of kind of like a land god deal, more than anything else. Oh, Renown Heart vendors may have a use for this. Oh, so the token is not a tier. It's an alternate currency. Complete more hearts, be able to spend that. Okay. Unless it lets you get extra renown. Oh, empowered beehive. I've got to train in my ability to bee to actually do anything with them. I mean, I can't just stick a hand in. My character's probably got a high enough defense stat that bees don't even bother him, lucky bastard. I'm, wildly unrelated. I'm not sure if it's exactly an allergy, but I always have really bad reactions to insect bites. So like, I'll get stung by a wasp and my arm will just double in size. No boils, no like issues breathing. It's just my arm rejects the venom in such a like aggressive manner, to the point where like it will just keep swelling until I release it. Gross as that is. And so whenever I see somebody who's like unbothered by bug bites or unbothered by bugs because they just don't bite them, I'd get jealous. Because yeah, I am extremely susceptible to bugs. See, this is what I'm talking about with the like slightly more atmospheric vibe. Unfortunately, Guild Wars does have kind of that realistic look that I feel doesn't work that well. You can tell this is a 13-year-old game. It doesn't look quite nearly as nice as, let's say, like Wayfinder or Destiny. Destiny is also kind of realistic, but in a like much more fantastical manner, like far sci-fi. Whereas, and there are not a lot of events going on around here. Whereas this is honestly mostly grounded. The last expansion had some really pretty structures. I guess we can go look at one briefly in my attempts to complete this map. Because yeah, the reason why I'm doing these is because if I get all of them and complete this, I get a bonus chest with some goodies in it. It's minor and it's not that important, but it's kind of satisfying going through an entire map and finding all of the shiny bits. Well, do we just fight this guy again? Sure. I need to do events and this is easy. Either that or we can fight the... we can go do the bear competition again. Or not the bear competition, bear training. I think that's kind of what you're supposed to do, but I did want to explore the world a little bit. Wow. Earlier I was doing this alone for like forever, and now there's at least like a handful of other people in the area. Oof. Oh gosh. Do the basilisks in this game only have one eye? They do. That's actually kind of disconcerting. I don't like that. I mean, yeah, what's worse? This kind of basilisk or the Dark Souls basilisk where they have the two fake eyes that look horrifying. Oh, again? I'm actually getting into the kind of wrangling events. I think they would get a little exhausting after a while, but some part of them is kind of fun, just purely from the perspective of, well, it's different, and it's kind of a neat, like, gap between just hitting the thing for a while. Which is what you usually do with these. Other thing to mention about Guild Wars that might be more visibly obvious. Why did I do that? It might be more visibly obvious if you're kind of paying attention. The game actually has a physics-based mount movement system. So rather than, say, World of Warcraft, where your mount just goes in the direction you tell it to move, Guild Wars is much more of like, you actually have some degree of momentum acceleration and so on and so forth. It's pretty snappy and it's pretty quick, but there's much more of a feeling of like weight and flow to how your mounts move. And the mounts have like meaningful differences. I've yet to kind of figure out where the Warclaw fits in as far as like traversal goes. It seems to be more of like an event-focused thing. Are we done? I think we are actually. That might have been enough. Okay, so lowland spear training. So we now also have the vine spear. That looks nice enough. Okay, so how do we actually do it? 5% additional experience. So there's also homesteading, which is a new feature I don't think we're going to get to today. But you can actually get a house and decorate it. Frankly, I don't know if I actually care too deeply about housing, player housing in these games. If there's a practical benefit, I'll care. But oftentimes it's not much of anything. It's just kind of there to look pretty. And that just has never specifically appealed to me. Which of these do we want? I might as well do that over this, because reduce falling damage on a Warclaw, jump in midair. Okay, so a double jump. Striking enemies when dashing through them. Extra damage when riding a Warclaw. And then endurance regeneration for all mounts by 20%. Now that one's huge. Because this kind of float ability on this mount, that orange bar is its endurance. And so, ooh, that's pretty. Having that come back faster is super helpful. Same thing with the flying kind of dragony mount that I had earlier. Its ability to like dash forward in the air is determined by its endurance. So maxing out that talent, or that talent tree, that mastery track actually is going to be helpful for everything. I like that. There's once again that feeling of like nothing is wasted with this game. That everything has value to pursue, even if like some things are definitely more valuable than others. That there's kind of these nice little carryover effects. Maybe not universally, but definitely here and there. I love waterfalls. I'm a sucker for them. And the fact that they overlaid kind of like a rainbow spray on top of them makes it nicer. I guess to go back to visually, unfortunately the game has a little bit of that like grayness that comes with modern lighting and modern lighting systems on more realistic looking games. And so it's like, it's nice, but hard to escape the grayness. I know I just jumped up here, but I think there's a waterfall cave. There is. I don't know if there's a way to get back. Do these people just live down here? How do you get home? Oh, path over here. Okay. I was actually going to be kind of baffled and just like, what? Do these bears just rely on the charity of their neighbors? Just please send us down a barrel of cheese. We're so hungry. Would be amusing. This one, there's a point of interest here, but I bet it's even lower. Yeah. So there's some cave down there, and that's not the direction I'm going. So I'm trying to get all of the fast travel points at the very least. I don't think I'm going to complete this map. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's go see about spear training. I guess you'll get an ounce of character dialogue here. So I might as well turn on some voice acting. So I guess one other thing to note is that the playable character, the commander slash wayfinder, actually is like a fully voiced character, and it's somewhat bespoke character. They definitely have less of like a backstory and background than most other NPCs in this game, but you actually are like a guy, which I think is neat, actually. Back you are. How's the spear? Weight feeling good. If you need more practice, try these targets. Make enough progress and maybe I'll pass a good word along to the claw. Okay, so how do we swap to the spear? So I've got it equipped. Do we just... equipment. Do I just put it there? Okay, I guess I have to unequip this first. There we go. Alright. So I have not actually looked at the spear before. So, slash, then slice foes in front of you with your spear. Striking an enemy with perforate siphons health from them. Oh, and that's for 10 seconds. And then stab foes, chill them, gain a soul shard if you strike a foe. I guess, you know what, rather than anything else, I'm just gonna hop over here and do this event. I'll have to find a different skin for this thing. But it's okay, I've picked up a couple preemptively.
Don't let your guard down.
Okay, so one of these was something about perforate. Not sure. Okay, that's a pretty symbol. Okay, attack foes in front of you with a series of strikes, consuming any active soul shards. Deal additional damage against your foes. I see, so you lose... Oh, it's the things next to me.
Oh, look like it. No, not them.
Remember to breathe.
Yeah, so those things. So I get to yeet those for presumably big damage. Okay, Addle. Daze your target, gain life force and soul shards if your target's using a skill. Daze duration's extended. Alright. Isolate. Throw a spear at your target if it strikes a foe, inflicts conditions, and you may reactivate to teleport to the foe. And then Extirpate. Wide Swing removes boons from foes, negates the next few boons applied to them, gain soul shards, and might for each target.
Thank you, Thea.
Cool.
And Wayfinder for teaching our cubs by way of example. Fine work out of you, cubs. What do we say to our guests?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let's mess with wardrobe a little bit. Oh, the other thing I was going to do is actually turn off the dialogue. I just don't want characters yelling in the background. It's not a problem when I'm playing solo, but it's way more of a problem if I'm actually trying to commentate. I don't have a whole lot of good spear skins, unfortunately. And most of these are pretty not great. And that one actually doesn't look terrible. Doesn't really vibe with my character, though. A lot of them don't. Oh, that's kind of fun. I mean, I guess I have this big crystal hunk. Sure, let's do that. It at least looks halfway fantasy. I'll have to look into other potential skins to grab. But I'm in no immediate rush. I'm not sure if I care too deeply about spear on this character. I'll have to play around with it. I think the soul shards are kind of a neat mechanic. I'll want to play around with it. But I think what I might want to do is actually experiment. Equip that. I'm going to move this up here. So one of the main features of the game is, I mean, obviously the equipment system. I'm just going to get rid of some of that. We're not even going to think about my inventory. So gear and equipment goes like kind of your standard blue, basic. I think there's even a white tier that's even below this. Then green, which is your uncommon. So I think fine, masterwork, rare, and then exotic is the kind of orange border. And then above that is ascended. And then there's legendary, which is like even harder to get. Neat part about ascended gear is anybody, like any of your characters can equip them. Normally you have to, normally an item is soul bound. I guess this one might be account bound, which is nice, but normally an item is soul bound on use, stuck to that one character. So I can actually say, I don't want to mess around with the spear on my necromancer. The moveset was neat, but it didn't really vibe. So I can take that spear and bring it to any other character that I have. And now that I've unlocked spear mastery on one character, it's unlocked for every other character that I have. So I can take a look at, say, what does my ranger do with spears? I think. Yep, there it is. Is it? No, that's not it. Oh, maybe it won't. Do I have to unlock it? No, there it is. I guess it just it auto goes to the aquatic slots instead, which makes sense. I don't know. So, chain, swing your spear. If your opponent's far away, use bee sting instead. So wait, you hit them or you throw... Oh, you throw the spear. I was hoping you'd summon bees. So yeah, it looks like it's a 1 or 2. Oh, I see. So the bee sting is just the range alternative, but it doesn't have the 3-hit chain. Mongoose's Fury, swipe at enemies in front of you, cleaving them. Slash enemies in front of you, then follow up with a powerful blow. It's a lot of cripple. Fling your spear at an enemy, dealing heavy damage. And then Owl's Flight, reveal yourself. Only if you're stealthed? Interesting. I don't know if any of these... Oh, no, that's if you are stealth. So I guess spear in this case... Yeah, Panther's Prowl. Conceal yourself in the brush. Gaining stealth, Gain Hunter's Prowess, allowing you to use a stealth attack even if revealed. Ah, makes you a little faster too. So it was a good example of a place to go. I kind of need to do things in Jorah Marches, so I'll just go here. One of the locations from the Icebrood Saga. I guess I call it a micro expansion. I think you did have to pay for it, kind of, sort of, but not overwhelmingly so. Because if you logged in when each chapter was released, I think you just got to keep them. And I think now it's just free. I think they did away with that monetization scheme because it was... people were bouncing off of it in a bad way. And so they just said, oops, never mind. And got rid of it, which I think is fair. The less friction you have between, like, players, especially in a live service MMO, there's an event. The less friction, the better. And there was definitely some friction in hopes of monetization. Oh wait, this one's about to end in like 10 seconds. Actually, both of these are about done. Let's keep going. There we go. I can do this one. Let's see about the bees. So I just huck this spear. Okay. So I go stealth, and then I see. That's an interesting mix. I like it well enough, I'd probably keep the spear around as a good kind of hybrid weapon that does either range or melee. And you can kind of use it to set up alternate moves based on that kind of stealth generator. I don't know why my characters decided not to attack him. I think if you're inside of an enemy, it gets cranky and doesn't like it. So, I don't know, not vibing on the spear on my ranger either. That's normal. You know, one, I'm sure it actually is perfectly fine on other characters and classes. Let's see. But it's not always the case. Well, I don't know. There are some weapon types I just never mess around with. So, like, Scepter. I don't think I've found a single class where I want to use the Scepter on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not for... I don't exactly want to say it's not for me, but it's just like... it's just not a weapon type that fits my, like, playstyle. So I just am not going to push it. So yeah, let's keep cycling the spear through. It's one of the main reasons why I wanted to dive into this expansion is just, hey, here's a new weapon that every class gets to use. What can they do with it? Because half the time when you get a new weapon, it just opens up a whole interesting build for you. And I find that very exciting. I don't think I'll stick around long. I just wanted to look at it on Guardian, and it looks like it's more of kind of like a Healy support move. Because I could fight an enemy, but eh. So I've got kind of like a spear charge that damages enemies and heals allies. I've got a whirl that boosts my next ability for some reason. I've got a throw spear into the air and kind of heal allies, damage enemies. And then a symbol on the ground that provides boons. It's very pretty, actually. I want to go for a healer support build at some point. I'll have to consider it on my Guardian. But I think I was going to do... Ranger first. That's my next one. Let's take a look at Warrior. Warrior was my original starting class that I loved dearly, but haven't really gone back to because most of the items and weapons and abilities and like build options didn't really jive that well. And I've been looking for a reason to come back, but I hadn't really had one until maybe now. So, Explosive Spear. Throw a spear at an enemy, shatters on contact, scattering shards that damage enemies around the target. Throw a spear at a targeted destination, damaging and inflicting conditions on opponents in the area, causing an aftershock of their short delay. So it's a lot of AoEs, which is actually great. Part of the one of the things I didn't like about Warrior is because they didn't have the best like ranged weapons. Throw a spear, pierces foes in a line, immobilizing them. First struck is also dazed. Mark a single target after a short delay, bombard the area with spears, deal more damage. Okay, this is cool. And then jump up, evade attacks, then swipe forward, sending a wave of air in front of you that pushes you backward. Knocks back enemies, reflects projectiles. First enemy struck is launched instead of knocked back. Okay, that's fun. Do I have a spot to go to? I think the last time I was playing this, I was getting skill points for this character. And so he's kind of unmoored. I guess if you haven't seen this game before, this is the Path of Fire region. Which specifically added, well, I don't know, it's like the big deserty, kind of more African themed environment. Let's go Skimmer. This is like a big sulfur waste, and you cannot walk on it. You will die. Could fly over it, but I wanted to actually show off the kind of momentum system a little bit. So this thing you can actually, like, drift, and it moves faster over water and sulfur. Which I actually think is one of the coolest parts of the game. Here's a mount that has, like, one specific niche purpose. You can still use it over land. It's just not as good as some of the other land mounts. But it's got kind of a place where it really shines, and it controls differently from all the other ones. It has no friction, so you can kind of drift with it, which I think is kind of neat. Oh, I picked the exact right spot. If I can pull it off. Oops, nope. Fortunately, going up these stairs is kind of hard, but if you do it right, you can kind of sideways drift up the staircase. I might have to hop off and fight, though, if I can get it. Don't take your hovercrafts upstairs, but, like, I don't know. The first time I ever did this, I thought it was cool as hell. This is the 4th time I've done this, and I still think it's cool as hell, even if I'm not very good at it. I don't know. This is just kind of fun. It is the first and I think only MMO to actually do this, where, like, moving feels good. And I appreciate that greatly. And, like, that's just the mount system. You also have kind of like a glider that you can pull out. You can swim. I guess those are kind of the main 2 traversal modes, but, like, it still feels nice having all of these different ways to traverse the world, so you're not just, like, some person running around fighting, or you just hop on your mount and you just go hella fast to leave and explore and whatnot. And also all of the mounts have kind of their own unique abilities. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, who cares about the knockback if I'm specifically... who cares about the knockback if I'm specifically, using my spear as a ranged weapon? I guess I shouldn't be standing in the danger zone. I'm just so used to being virtually immortal on my other character that, I'm not quite used to the idea of having a character I need to care about survival on. Wow, that sucks. Hey, can you tell I don't play this character very often? Used to use them, like, as my only character, but as they've added more builds, they've just become less relevant. Oh, you know what? Oh, wait, no. He is actually wearing good equipment. I was like, wait a second, is this guy totally naked? Because that would not be the first time I've done this. I think this is also one of the harder expansions from a, like, hey, you're just wandering around the world. Everything hates you and is going to kill you. At least I definitely remember trying to explore it a little bit more and getting wrecked for trying. It really doesn't like the idea of me standing there. Who's shooting at me? Oh, it's the hive cannons. Alright, enough of this. Here's the question, can I just Warclaw? Yeah, looks like I can just hop on the Warclaw whenever I am in combat. That's actually really nice. Because it means if I'm losing, I can just leave. That's why I'd probably like to get my hands on the double jump. So, honestly, Spear on Warrior, pretty good. I'm going to have to address my Warrior build because I know it's not good. It's kind of like a weird mix between, hey, I'm DPS, but I'm not survivable enough to be happy about it. So let's mix in some kind of like Healy support abilities instead. And I should probably tweak that a bunch. Okay, so what was the next one? I got Mesmer. I don't think this is a good spot for Mesmer. Unless the event's going on, at which point, sure. Nope, totally dead. Alright, it's fine. Let's see how this looks on Mesmer. Okay, so what's Mesmer have? Slash, gain might. Rend, gain might, and then weakness on an enemy. Swing your spear in a circle, dealing increased damage to foes on the outer edge. Striking on the outer edge will always deal a crit. Huh. Crit a clone and gain clarity if you hit an enemy. That's specific and slightly annoying, but maybe cool. Cleanse conditions, evade while preparing a strong attack. If you evade, heal yourself. So it's kind of an interesting all-rounder build. Dash your foe, removing boons from them. Leave a phantasm at your location. Launches a spear at the target, dealing damage. And we don't know about the last one because I actually have to use it in combat. Oh, and the map's about to close. Yeah, let's pop up here. Okay. Really? Let's pop up here. I don't use my Mesmer much. They're not exactly my favored class. I find them kind of squishy and maybe a little overly complex. I kind of like being able to brain off and enjoy. And the Mesmer is one of those classes where it doesn't really feel like I can do that easily. I'll have to do some, like, I'll have to commit to the class and actually practice it. I think I would have some fun with it, but time and effort and energy and some other things. Maybe I'll do that for End of Dragons. Because I think Mesmer is literally the only class I've never put, like, extensive time and effort into. So this area is in Heart of Thorns, which is the first expansion of Guild Wars. It's kind of this, like, weird underground bug cavern. There's more going on than just this. It's a lot of jungle otherwise. But this region is specifically super buggy for reasons. I just want to get back over here. Grab a waypoint, seeing as it's in my area. Because yeah, unfortunately map progress is not shared between characters, but I also kind of understand why. Oh, that event's going on. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. Maybe I can. Or I might be able to get to it. Oh wow, you really... I really can tell I haven't used this character. This is like the default flying mount skin, which, not to say that you don't do, but, usually you want to kind of have everything be nice and fancy looking. And the fact that I haven't, tweaked any of it is, makes it kind of plain that, yeah, this character is not a priority of mine. I think it's fine. Like, how many classes are there in the game? 9? I think there's 9 classes, 1 for each, or 3 for each armor class. And then, what is it, 6 races or something like that? Like, trying to focus on all of those classes simultaneously is awful and not fun. And better to just pick the one that you like, or 2 that you like, and leave the rest for later. Did the event end? Ah, it did. Alright, let's just go find something to hit. It's also just, I don't know, it's just incredibly fun traversing the world. Oh, actually, looks like we might get what I'm looking for. I'll hit some birds while we're hanging out here. So what's this last ability do? Teleport to your target, cascade of psychic energy. Damaging nearby enemies, refresh your mind gap skill. Mind gap. Oh, mind the gap. Okay, I might actually have to use this. It looks pretty good. Do you have any other birds that I can harass? Chuck a bunch of daggers at it? Okay. Yeah, actually, genuinely, probably one of the better weapon combos I've seen so far. I think all things considered, though, as much fun as it is to wander around and like try spear on each of the different classes, probably better that I keep focusing on Xanthir at least for a little bit. But it was fun to get kind of a taste of what each of them looked like. And maybe well, I don't know, probably as soon as this video is done, I'll probably poke at it some more and see like, yeah, which of these classes has now become viable as a result of the new weapon sets that have been added. Behold, a bear farming ground. One of the things that this new expansion is supposed to have is, as you raise your reputation, you know, the world might actually change in some way. I'm hoping it actually does have like instanced changes to the actual like environment in some way, shape, or form. I've always wanted to have a game where you can actually modify it minimally or even like in a major way. Like, hey, what if there was an MMO where you and other players could like build a bridge? Maybe? I don't know. It would be harder to do and you'd have to rely on a lot of instancing, but I think it would actually be kind of satisfying if you were leaving your own mark on the world in different ways. But I also recognize that it would probably break the game in a variety of ways too. That, you know, some players would use that bridge to like sequence break or tweak events and whatnot. And so like, I do have to recognize that it's kind of a pipe dream and is never really going to happen. Lowland Pine Sapling. Yeah, they've added a bunch of new gatherables with icons for them on the map too, which I'm not used to. Was that right? We wanted to go over to Autumn's Vale. I just want to get every waypoint here. Group event. Defeat the Valve Raven. Where? Oh, it's up high on the other side. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that one. This is also a Drake Broodmother. Oh, right here. That's a little bit more doable. Hey, what is the range on this thing? Ah, it's melee. Oh, that was quick. Some of these are a lot easier than others. Yeah, what else? That's fun. Yeah, speaking of nothing is wasted, the mushroom that I just bounced all the way up on, that specifically is a feature, a mastery that I had unlocked in Heart of Thorns, and they've just kept those bouncing mushrooms just throughout the game. They're kind of rarer now, especially since there are flying mounts, but I do think it's actually kind of charming and cool that, you know, this thing that I unlocked and did at a much earlier date, in a much earlier expansion, still is relevant to this day. It very much just has that kind of feeling of like, yeah, this was worth doing all those years ago. I think the only immediate problem I have with the spear is because of the like little shards that I'm conjuring. It's a little harder for me to want to swap other weapons into the flow. But maybe that's really not that much of an issue. And it looks cool. I need to get a new spear, but that's fine. Or not spear. I need to get a new spear skin. But that's fine. I'm sure I will find all sorts of cool skins just waiting for me that I've just never considered. And there's the new legendary one if I really want to work that direction, which, like, it's lightly tempting. It's still probably, like, a massive grind, which is kind of the one problem. Like, every single legendary takes oodles of hours of work to get. At least from my experience. There's probably some that are maybe easier to get than others. But from my experience, well, I haven't done it yet. I'm almost there on at least one of them. I do kind of like falling on this one. It's not quite as fast, but, okay, what am I supposed to do here? Defend Coden from the bog. If But I have to find somebody called Autumn's Breath. Unless she was back up in town. Because I don't see an NPC. Is that telling me there's a Cryptus Rift in this area? That's funny. Cryptus Rifts are just random events that pop in from the previous expansion. But I appreciate that, yeah, they carried that in as well. Just, hey, do you want to... How would I describe it as? Just, hey, do you want to keep doing this thing that you were doing in the previous expansion? You know, those resources are still valid. You want to get the legendary armor? You don't just have to limit yourself to this old expansion to work on them. And I think that's neat. A lot of this comes very specifically from being somebody who played a lot of World of Warcraft back in the day. I really, really liked the artifact weapon. What the hell is that? The artifact weapons in Guild Wars were cool. Sentient Conduit, Tier 3, okay. I have not done conduits, I don't know what this is about, but since there is players here, I might as well do it. Whatever it is something. This hurts a lot. That's fine. But I loved the artifact weapons in Guild Wars, or not Guild Wars, in World of Warcraft. But I found it kind of agonizing as soon as Legion was over. It specifically took all of the like legendary artifact weapons away from you. Specifically, the reason why they were cool is one, they were just reasonably powerful weapons. I think they were like stronger than normal. Like rated as kind of max tier at the time. Maybe there were some better weapons for the expansion, maybe they weren't, but they leveled with your character, gaining new like perks and abilities, and kind of had their own internal talent tree, which I think was just cool. Okay, I actually have to worry about this thing. It's a little tough. And then you could also unlock like alternate skins, and there are kind of little story dungeons related to your class, relating to them. And then you also had kind of like a base you were building up. It just was this whole thing. And it had this like really cool feel to it. And then as soon as the expansion ended, they were like, yeah, they're gone. You broke them. You used them up to defeat the big bad. Congratulations, but now they're just cool skins that sit in your, you know, in your skin library. And something about that just rubbed me the wrong way. You put all this time and effort and energy into this cool thing, and then the thing they replace it with is just like a clear downgrade. I'm sure they had plenty of reason to do it, mostly because, you know, hard to Skinner box if the Skinner box can be completed easily, or, you know, if you don't actually add more layers to the Skinner box with every expansion. I've never done this before. Whatever it is cool. And then we seal Rift to send it back to whence it came. And we get... So that was an incursion. We get a Rift extraction. And a bunch of rare Rift essence. Cool. This is stuff I actually have to grind for. If I want to get legendary armor. Which, like, kind of useful. Kind of not that useful. Now everybody's favorite thing, inventory management. Like all games, you get tons of random loot that you... I guess in this case, instead of selling them, though you can sell them and it is worth it, you can also just mulch them up into crafting components and various other materials. Yes, I guess I'm just going to have to hoard those. So in this case, I'm getting, you know, metal and wood and enchanting components and who knows what else by mulching all of these items. Or I can sell them to other players, which is quite profitable. Oh, there's the skin. Let's actually fix that, because yeah, my Warclaw is kind of ugly. It is the default Warclaw. Look at that not pretty beast. Look at this cute cat. Now let's make the cute cat look different. What did I even do with it? Oh, that's the default Warclaw colors. Let's just scrub the colors from it. Hold up. Get out of here. Okay. Safe and good to go. Yeah, what can I do with this cat? What's a good color for it? Dyes, mounts. Well, I tried removing all the dye. I guess it wouldn't apply. Guess this is kind of the generic. This game has a very substantive dyeing system. Ooh. Make it dark? What about like green? Ugh. Oh, that's just its eye color. And that's the saddle color. That's not nearly as dark as I want it to be. Shadow Abyss, Shadow Blue, Shadow Bloodstone Dark, Abyssal Sea. Ooh, that looks kind of nice. Do we have like a nice purple? That is a nice purple. That's maybe a little bit more aggressive. Okay. Sure, I'll go with that. Where's my, like... There it is, Nightmare. I could also go for offensively green. I don't really want that. Let's just give it nice green eyes. There we go. So what else do I do? I don't know, let's just take a look at it. Drive around on my Warclaw. My nice purple Warclaw. Yeah, that's very pretty. I don't know if I'm gonna mess with skins for this thing. There's like 1 or 2 skins that I'd be okay with. But otherwise, it's kind of an okay mount at best. In terms of like the skins that are available for it. The animations are nice. Oops. Got stuck in a shrub. And being able to mount in and out of combat cannot be understated how extremely useful that is. Am I gonna just fight this basilisk again? Is this just my fate? I do just kind of keep looping back here, because... it's here. Alright, I guess we're just going after another basilisk. I think this is going to be the end of the video, though, just because my voice has been, like, just falling off this entire video. And much as I'd like to keep recording and playing this game, I guess I can do that off camera. Instead of forcing myself to wreck my voice further on camera. But I should mention, I guess at this point, that yeah, Wilds of Janther is available on, I mean, I guess it's just available on PC, but you can also get Guild Wars 2 via Steam. So if you actually want to play it through just kind of like a standard common platform, that is an option. I haven't downloaded it through Steam. I don't know how that works particularly well. But, you know, the game itself it runs great 10 years later. They've definitely made it look nicer. They've definitely optimized tons of things. It's got thousands of hours worth of content, and I'm gonna say meaningful content. Not like just leveling grind and whatnot. There's just oodles of things that you can do. Side stories, missions, dungeons, mini dungeons, quest lines, scavenger hunts, dungeon scavenger hunts, cool weapon armor hunts, secret weapon skins that you have to kind of hunt down in the achievements window to even know about them. Like, there's so many different layers about this game, and it is deeply compelling once you get hooked on it. It is one of those where, like, I do know people have talked about, oh, fish out of water. Warclaw does not want to touch water. That's funny. I have heard from people in the past that, you know, it's kind of easy to get, how to describe it? It's easy to feel overwhelmed by this game, and the easiest answer I would give is mostly just play the core version of the game. I think it's free. I'm pretty sure Core Guild Wars 2 is free, and it gets you access to, like, a massive amount of content. One of the common, like, kind of endgame things that is still free, let me take a look. Active Threat, Shadow Behemoth, there we go. One of the most common things for people to do is just hop on world boss trains. So you go to this location, Let's see. Okay, so we're a little early, unfortunately. I was really hoping I could actually show up to one of these with a little bit more time. But there are cool world bosses that happen every 15 minutes that you can just warp from one to the next to the next to the next, getting neat rewards, and it's populated with like the maximum number of players possible every single event, every single time, with the exception of like one or two of the weird ones like Triple Trouble. But so for the most part, like every aspect of this game is still active. Some of the expansions are a little bit less so. Yeah, here's the pre-event if I want to do it. I might as well be here at least to end this video off. But like, I don't think I've seen a single part of this game where it's just kind of like dead MMO vibes. There are some events, there are some things that, yeah, it's a little tougher. Can take some time for other players to show up. Or, yeah, maybe certain maps are so depopulated that, yeah, some of the harder things don't show up. But those are also extremely optional and not particularly important for progression, unless you're doing like a very specific scavenger hunt or something. But that's usually where, like, joining a guild and actually asking for help comes in handy, because you can quite honestly be like, hey, you know, guild members, I'm trying to do this thing. Can you help me? And usually there's somebody around that might be willing to do it, or might even need to do the objective themselves, and will, you know, come out and help themselves. Let's see. Yeah, what else is there to talk about? No, not too much. I might as well mention, I guess, that I do have a guild myself. It's not a particularly active one. In fact, for the most part, most of the people that used to be on it have stopped playing, just due to the fact that, yeah, the game is not one of those that, like, demands constant playtime. It's very much one of those that, like, you play it until you've maxed out the content, beaten the story, gotten what you want, and then you stop playing for a year, waiting for the next update? Not update, expansion. Specifically, Wilds of Janthier is going on a quarterly update basis. They're doing away with their living world in favor of just smaller but faster expansions that are, I think they're $40. No, maybe it's even cheaper. It's like, oh no, that is just the Shadow Behemoth. Sick. I guess we got to destroy these portals, but then we can just do the event. There's the guy. But so the expansions are a little cheaper, come out on a yearly basis, usually sometime around September, end of August, roughly around the 1 year or the yearly anniversary of Guild Wars 2. And then every 3 months they'll expand in some way, you know, adding a new map, continuing the story, more features, though usually the features are like minor stuff. And more often than not, it's more stuff to kind of collectathon after instead. And so it gives the game just a little bit more of like kind of an active feel, reasons to come back instead of getting stuck in sad MMO doldrums where like game hasn't gotten a major update in 6 months and nobody's playing anymore. Like I was actively playing for the last 2 months and it's felt pretty much the same, which is nice. I like it. It very much gives this game a constant lived-in feel. Lived-in feel? I don't know. Just, it's not dead, and that's nice. I cannot tell you how nice. I realize I'm repeating myself here a little bit, but like, I legitimately was so worried that Guild Wars was going to be one of those MMOs that would die out years ago, you know, just as people move away from it. But it has built a very long-term and consistent fan base in a way that I don't think I've really seen in other MMOs. I think there have been some rocky patches. I think people didn't like certain parts of Icebrood, and some of the expansions were kind of hit and miss. I think they redid this encounter. I don't know what I'm doing. He's different. I don't think I like it as much just because I'm not able to hit him as much. But maybe he gets stunned down. Maybe I should just use my range attacks. Yeah, no, they did redo this event. You can also tell most people are probably working on the new expansion because this is actually kind of quiet compared to what I'm used to. On a normal day, there's usually like 40, 50 people doing these events constantly, and it's just going at light speed, which I like. But yeah, so if you do actually want to play Guild Wars in some way, shape, or form, we do actually have a guild you can join. I play consistently. Like, oddly enough, if you want the semi-parasocial experience of playing a video game with me, Guild Wars is probably your best bet, as silly as that sounds, but that's also probably should not be the big selling point of the game. I am somewhat of a, I don't want to say like a weirdo loner, but I just kind of focus on my own thing. But you know, fractals and raids and stuff would be fun to do occasionally, and having a group for that would be nice. Part of the reason why I'm making this video is to say, hey, join the Discord at least, maybe the guild. I would like some people to play the harder stuff in Guild Wars with, because it would be fun. There's a lot that I'd like to play, and it would be weird for me to have to join somebody else's guild. I mean, not that weird. I wouldn't necessarily hate that experience. I think it's just one of those where it's like, the last couple times I've joined other people's guilds, somebody recognizes me, and then it gets strange. Because then there's the expectation of being in one of my videos, and it's just like, it's weirder. I don't know. That's a topic for another day, though. For now, I'm like on the verge of just coughing up my entire esophagus. So I guess I should probably end this. But yeah, so if you do want to pick up Wilds of Janthir or Guild Wars itself, I think base Guild Wars is free. I think the expansions are dirt cheap. I've not actually checked. Let me check. Can I actually just check it here? In this. Upgrades. Living World. No, those are pass bundles. I don't actually know if you can buy the expansions through the cash shop normally anymore. Yeah, I know the base version is totally free, which makes a lot of sense. Shop. Buy Guild Wars 2. So what are the versions of the game that are available? So, Wilds of Janthir is $25, which is an absurdly good price for what it is. I mean, it's more of the same, but $25 for an MMO expansion that does not have a monthly sub fee, in and of itself is a pretty good deal. The main kind of counterpoint is it does have some level of like cash shoppage, where like there's a lot of quality of life stuff locked away by, you know, behind a bit of a paywall. So if you want like this many bags, you have to pay for it. So this would cost like $5. Or if you want to have like extra character slots and stuff, that sort of thing also costs some money. It's not that bad, and like from my perspective, I have probably paid less for Guild Wars than I have for Final Fantasy XIV. Even though one of the two games I've only been playing for 2 years, and the other game I've been playing for 10. Over 10. Which is neat. Yeah, how much does it cost to get the rest? So if you want to get standard Guild Wars 2 with the first 3 expansions, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, and End of Dragons, plus like a level 80 boost, it's $50. And then you can like add extra stuff, which is like cash shop currencies or mount skins and whatnot, which you do not need. I mean, buying the currency alongside it is a deal and is probably worth it. But personally, it's one of those that like, yeah, if you want to dive in, just pick up the base game for free, play that to the end, then make a decision, because you do not need any of the side content to enjoy the base game. But with all of that said, I guess if you like this video in any way, shape, or form, leave me a like. It helps more than you know. And if you want to see more rad new games every single day, then hit subscribe, because I got tons to check out and show off. Normally I cover indie games, but, you know, gotta rep my favorite games here and there when I get the chance. But for now, at least, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.